Hello everyone, it's Lucky, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys my Week 7 battle of the WPF versus the Alanta Beedrilles. So this is the second of two out of conference matches before next week we resume our in-conference matches again before we go ahead and finish up the season with division play. Now, we're in a pretty strong position right now after last week's battle being at 5-1 now. And so if we win this game, it'll put us in a very strong position for playoffs. So if we win this game, we'll end up being 6-1. And the way the conference is looking right now, that means that although maybe it won't quite clinch yet, all I would have to do pretty much is win, realistically, just win one of my final 5 games and we'll be set for playoffs, which is really good considering the amount of competition we have this week. So this is kind of an important match. Hoping we'll be able to pull off the W. And with that, I will get into the team builder to show my opponent's team and what team I will be bringing to counter that this week. So as always, my team is on the left and my opponent's team is on the right over there. So my opponent has a team of Mega Swampert, Mew, Kartana, Regieleki, Pelipper, Goodra, Klefki, regular Gallade, Zorark, Cryogonal, and Dubwool. So the biggest threats I'm seeing from this team is that offensively, his biggest threats are his rain offense with Pelipper and then coming into that Mega Swampert. Baton pass shenanigans with Dubwool and particular Mew is who he likes to pass that into are really annoying, and Mew in general can be annoying because you don't know what set it's going to run, and Kartana just hits pretty hard, although I have decent checks to it, and Regieleki as well if I do not keep my Garchomp alive, and Venusaur could maybe take an electric move, but they still hit pretty hard, so it's basically I need to keep my Garchomp alive, and if that's the case, Regieleki can't really do much to us. So defensive pains I might have to get through is Goodra, because Goodra gives a really strong special presence, which I'm finding that especially this matchup against the Beedrilles, my particular mons that match up well against him are mostly special besides the Garchomp, and so that could be a potential issue. Mew, always if he decides to run the defensive set, which is possible, that could be annoying to break through. And then I have the baton pass shenanigans again because what he has seemed to like to do is to go ahead and set up like a Cotton Guard or something with Dubwool and then pass that. So that is something I have to be aware of. Now, what I'm expecting him to bring, I'm almost certain he's going to bring his Rain and also that Mew. They've come every week so far, and that's kind of what his team is based around. I think he's probably going to bring Goodra to stop my special offense, and that I have to be aware of. I also think Dubwool's probably coming because he likes to try to baton pass with that. And Regieleki too. I think he's going to try to take advantage of Coco setting the terrain because it gets rising voltage. So if I set the terrain for that, then that's a super powerful attack that Regieleki gets to fire off. And then possible, he could bring either of his steel types in Klefki and Kartana. I don't know if they necessarily have the best matchup, but they could come. So I'm going to get into what team I'm bringing, but before that I'm going to take a drink real quick. So this week the team I'm bringing, I didn't actually do really any calcs beforehand, or even when we get into the match, I didn't do any calcs during that either. So I just kind of went with the flow. It's like, yeah, this is gonna work how it goes. Um, so the first thing is I brought my Mega Charizard Y, and this is mostly there as a kind of weather war, stop the weather, be able to switch it in when Pelipper sets up the rain, come in, weaken any water type attacks coming, possibly from Pelipper if he ends up switching in, um, going for the Hurricane. It's 50% effective or accurate under Sun, and yeah, I could switch in like on the Mega, if the Mega Swampert kills something, I could switch in, get the Sun up. So yeah, Charizard's just going to be there for that mostly. I have Flamethrower, Solar Beam, Hurricane, and Roost. So Solar Beam is there mostly for the Mega Swampert, but if the Pelipper's alive, I'll have to be careful with clicking that because he could potentially just switch it out, and then it's a 2-turn move for Solar Beam, and then I'm in a little bit of trouble. So that's why I have Hurricane there, is if he decides to switch in the Pelipper and have the rain up on my Mega Charizard Y when I'm in, coming off Hurricanes coming off of a base, Stab Hurricanes coming off of a base 159 special attack is going to hit hard. So that's why I have that. And then Roost is just there for longevity, so I can continue the weather wars throughout the game. So next up we have, again, a Choice Scarf Tapu Koko, and this is there because it outspeeds Mega Swampert under the rain, regardless of if it is Adamant or Jolly. It also outspeeds a Scarf Kartana, and I'm able to run Modest with it, so I have Thunderbolt just because obviously you're going to run an electric move all the time with Coco. Gleam is mostly there for the Goodra, it just is a good neutral move. Then I have Grass Knot for the Mega Swampert, and U-Turn just for pivoting. So enough speed to outspeed the Scarf Kartana, and then the leftover just put in HP. So next I have Garchomp running the Yachi Berry, and I realized that I forgot to set its ability to Rough Skin. That's fine. It really doesn't come into play that much. So yeah, so the ability is pretty much useless. Oh well. But running a Swords Dance set with Scale Shot, Earthquake, and Fire Fang. The Yachi Berry is mostly there for either the Mega Swampert, if it runs like Ice Punch, potentially I think Goodra gets Ice Beam, so it could potentially run that to hit a little bit harder. And then also for the Mew, if the Mew's like trying to set up and has Ice Beam or something, I can go ahead and take that out. So I really wanted to run just Scale Shot and Earthquake with like Sub instead of Fire Fang, because that would actually hit his entire team really hard. The one thing I was worried about is because of Prankster, he could run a Magnet Rise Klefki, and so Klefki wouldn't necessarily switch into Garchomp because it could click the Earthquake. But if it comes in after and sets up the Magnet Rise, I wanted to be a way to be able to hit the Klefki if needed, so that's why Fire Fang's there. Corviknight this week is an Iron Defense Body Press set. With Roost and then also Brave Bird here. With the Wakan Berry is because the only thing I see on his team really that could take out a Corviknight from full is the Regieleki with its electric moves, and if I especially if I have a Iron Defense set up, and this would allow me to live an electric type move from Regieleki and hit back with Iron Defense. So I really wanted Brave Bird this week, mostly to deal with if he happened to bring the Gallade, but it's mostly there for the Mew because I wanted to be able to hit the Mew somehow. And I'm actually opting, even with the Mega Charizard Y this week, I'm opting to not go for hazard removal, and that's because his Stealth Rockers is what I'm most worried about with Charizard Y are Mega Swampert and Mew, and neither of which I think would really want to bring Stealth Rocks, and if they do, that's more helpful for me. Like, Mew, if it's the defensive set, is annoying, but I'm more scared of it being like a setup set that could possibly be baton passed into than actually being a Stealth Rock set. And so if it does have to run Stealth Rock, then that's less of a threat for the team. So next I have my Suicune this week, and it's basically my rain defensive answer, running Scald, Toxic, Tailwind, and Rest. So Scald is there just as it's one attacking move. He doesn't have any water immunities, and if he has Rain up, Scald is boosted and has the chance to burn. So that's why that's there. Toxic is there for the Goodra, because that would really be nice to get something off on the Goodra or the Mew, because those two things could take Scalds decently and be annoying. And so I have Rest there mostly for if I Toxic the Mew, then I can rest off that synchronized Toxic. And then the last move slot is Tailwind. That's there mostly if Rain's up, I want to take a hit, set up Tailwind, and then I outspeed everything. Well, and that could be really useful for the Garchomp if it doesn't have a scale shot set up. And then so the last one I have this week is Spiritomb making its second appearance of the season, and this is basically my anti-baton pass, specifically to Mew answer. Potentially worried about stored power is always a thing to worry about. Also, if he's like defensive into a Dragon Dance Mew he likes to run. So that's why I have it full defensive with Dark Pulse, Will-O-Wisp, Pain Split, and Taunt. The Taunt is there for the double mostly, so hopefully it can't get up a boosting move and a baton pass, and even if it does, then I could taunt the Mew so the Mew can't set up more. Pain Split partially for recovery, partially to hit the Klefki for decent damage because I'm not running Ghost, so Dark Pulse, it would resist that. Will-O-Wisp is there if the Mew decides to be a setup offensive threat, and also for the Mega Swampert, and then Dark Pulse is just neutral move. And I chose to run Special this week. I know Goodra, I was saying that, it works better for Special, or a lot of my offense worked out better to be Special. I could have run Spiritomb as physical, but mostly what I've seen with the double has been him setting up a Cotton Guard, and so if he sets up a Cotton Guard, I still want it to be able to hit Mew decently hard, and that's why the Dark Pulse is there. So going into this team, as you can see, I actually was more worried about his non-rain threats than his actual rain threats. I mean, I still had to prep for the Mega Swampert, but Suicune defensively and a Scarf Coco with Grass Knot offensively, check that decently well. The thing I was most worried about, actually, was that stupid double passing into Mew, because it's just so unpredictable. And so I figured if I can take care and make sure that he can't get some massive baton pass stuff up and press an advantage that way, I would have a pretty good chance of winning. So that's the team for this week, and I will see you guys at the battle. So, getting into the battle this week, I see that he did not bring the Goodra, which is nice because I don't have to worry about breaking that. And also, he did not bring the Klefki, which means I could have gone ahead and run the sub SD Garchomp set, but that's fine. I wanted to see it. And he brought the Kartana also, but I feel like Carbonite could be a decent check for that, and also even Coco could do a decent amount of damage to it because its special defense is so low. So, leading off, I'm going to lead my Coco here, which as I lead that off, I realize that right now that, oh, this may have been a mistake because I now can't just switch Charizard in to change the weather because it's not Mega'd up yet and it doesn't have its drought ability. It's just normal. And so if I forget that and try to switch it in on Pelipper at some point, if Pelipper comes back in and tries to click like Weather Ball or something like that, Charizard's just gonna die. So that might be a little bit of a mislead because I was predicting the Pelipper to be led, which is why I went Coco, but it's fine. So I know he's not going to stay in here with Pelipper because he can't afford to lose it right away. So I'm going to go ahead and just U-turn out as he does switch out into Mew. I U-turn out, not do a whole bunch of damage, but I go into Spiritomb, which is my kind of somewhat dedicated Mew answer. And so I don't expect him to go straight for any sort of attacking move here. So I'm going to go ahead and click Taunt so he doesn't get out of control is basically my whole thing, is control this Mew. As he decides to switch out to double and I get the taunt off on the double, I'm like, oh great, this double is pretty much neutered now. It can't do anything. It's going to have to switch out. But it is Mental Herb. So that means it could still do something. However, I can still taunt it again and make sure, even if it sets up like a Cotton Guard or something, if I taunt it again, it's not going to be able to set up and baton passed out, which is what I was worried about. So luckily with Spiritomb's already in when the double comes in, so I'm going to go ahead and click Taunt again as he goes into Pelipper. Now, Pelipper here, I predict either U-turn out, go for either of its attacking moves, Hurricane or Weather Ball. Both of those things Suicune is a decent answer to. So I switch into Suicune here. As Suicune goes ahead and takes the Hurricane, takes it like a champ. So here I'm predicting a switch out into potentially Mew or Regieleki, and either way I think that a Toxic would be the best thing to get off. So here I go ahead and click Toxic as he does go into the Mew, and I'm like, this is going to be great. I'm going to Toxic the Mew. I'll get Toxic back, but whatever. It puts the Mew on a timer. And I miss. So here I'm just going to go for a Toxic again, trying to still Toxic the Mew because that'd be good. And he predicts that and goes into Regieleki. Now, I go into Garchomp here because there's literally nothing that Regieleki can do to touch me, and this gives me a free setup chance with Garchomp, which is wonderful. As you can see, he goes for Swift, and that does basically nothing. So here I'm going to go ahead and set up the Swords Dance. Now, the nice thing about Double is that with Fluffy does halves contact move damage. However, Earthquake is not a contact move. And so I'm just going to go ahead and click Earthquake here and do a ton of damage as it lives on 6%. Like I said, I didn't really do calc, so I don't know if that was a roll or anything. But he goes ahead and sets up an agility here. Now here I'm predicting him to go ahead and pass it to something. Either way, he's going to pass it out and not stay in. So I'm going to click the Scale Shot here because it hits everything on his team and will give me a boost against everything on his team. The only thing that I would be really worried about if he passes speed into specifically Garchomp with Garchomp is if he passes speed into that Kartana, because Kartana could take a Scale Shot and I'd have to switch out, but I have pretty good switches to Kartana. So here he does Baton Pass as I click the Scale Shot, and get 3 hits. 4 may have killed, but whatever, 3 is good. And I'm going to get the speed boost. So I already know, because Rain lasted 8 turns, that this Pelipper is Damp Rock, meaning that it is not Scarfed. And so unless he is max speed timid, I will outspeed and be able to kill it still. And I don't think, based on the teams, that he would be max speed timid. And I don't even think, unless he goes for... I even have the Yachi Berry, so I don't think there's anything that he can do that will actually OHKO me. So here, I go ahead and click the skill shot again to get to ×2 speed. So here I have to switch out against the Mega Swampert because I'm at -2 defense, and it was a roll that I did calc this, actually. This is the one thing I calced. It was a roll that I could possibly kill the Mega Swampert. However, it was like a 25% roll, and I know I need my Garchomp alive to be able to check that Regieleki. Otherwise, this team is actually pretty weak to it, with 2 flying types, Suicune, and even Coco setting the electric terrain for it. So I know I need to keep my Garchomp alive, and I cannot let it die. So I go ahead and switch into Suicune here, as he goes ahead and clicks the Ice Punch, which does nothing. So here I'm going to just click the Scald, because if he stays in and tries to do Earthquake in the rain, Scald's going to do a decent amount of damage and still has that burn chance. As he switches out into Kartana, and with the rain, that does a huge chunk of damage. So Kartana's sitting at 40% now. I could go for another Scald here and try to kill it. However, I don't think he's I don't really want to risk it at this point. I think Suicune is still important to keep around to try to check the Swampert defensively, and I'm not really in a position here where I want to overpredict and get too aggressive. And so I'm just going to go ahead and switch out into my Corviknight here, which is normally a decent check, to the Kartana, as he does go for the knockoff. So had I stayed in, I could have taken the knockoff and killed the Kartana, which would have been cool because that would get Suicune another kill, climbing up the MVP boards. But it's whatever. Yeah, so here I'm just going to roost. I see it's Life Orb, and here I'm just going to roost as Sacred Sword does not get the kill. And so I'm just going to roost and hope he wears himself down. Sacred Sword is still not getting the kill. I think that 50% is probably a high roll, so I don't know if there's any chance that he would have killed. So because of that, I'm just going to go ahead and roost off again as it kills Life Orb damage. Secret Sword was actually a good bring, or Sacred Sword was actually a good bring because it ignores stat changes, and Corviknight with Iron Defense or Bulk Up, it would go through that. But luckily I was still able to tank it and just go ahead and roost off the damage. So here he goes into Mew as I go into Spiritomb, and he sets up the Cosmic Power. And with that, I'm thinking, oh, this is that setup set, so with possibly stored power, so I go ahead and taunt the Regieleki because I don't want it setting up more. As here I go into Garchomp because that's the good check to it. He makes a nice play in doubles, so I'm just going to go ahead and go right back out to Suicune to take whatever hit this Swampert can throw at me. So I'm going to click Scald again just to damage off and kill the double. So that's good. No Baton Pass shenanigans, and Suicune gets another kill. Woohoo! Or gets a kill. Woohoo! 16-2 now. So Regieleki comes in, again going into that Garchomp because it can't do anything. This time he does try to Volt Switch out, and here I'm just going to set up a Swords Dance because he can't do anything. Go ahead and click the Earthquake. Mew clicks Cosmic Power, Earthquake again, knock that out. Regieleki comes in, clicks Rain Dance, which I'm surprised about, clicks Earthquake. And so here, Swampert clicks Bulk Up as faster as I click Earthquake, and he lives. So I thought I would live this Ice Punch. I didn't calc it. Turns out that Swampert's very strong. And actually, we talked after the game, and he was adamant, so I had no chance of living that. If it was Jolly, I would have possibly been able to live it through the Yachi Berry. But yeah, Swampert strong. Here, I'm just going to go ahead and go into my Scarf, Coco, and claim the last kill, being a 5-0 victory. So yeah, now we are 6-1, and in a very good position coming forward. So going forward, like I said, the way the conference standings are, I'm pretty sure that I only have to win, realistically, just one more game and I'll be in playoffs. I might even be able to clinch next week, depending how tiebreakers work and such. I'd have to dive into it deeper, but if I win next week, even if it's not a clinch for me, it will still be overall a very good time for playoffs going forward. And even if it's not officially a clinch, it'll be essentially a clinch. So good game to Alanta Beedrilles. Yeah, I will talk to you guys next week.